What's going on, guys? Welcome back to What Cheers. I'm Nick. Tonight, I guess it's really easy to say that this is the most ridiculous, epic, and quite ambitious review that I've ever done. This, as you can see in front of me, is the entire Jack's Abbey Framinghammer collection that came out end of 2013 into 2014 now. This is everything from the original non-barrel aged version of the Framinghammer over here to the barrel aged, to the coffee and vanilla variants, and then to the brewery only variants, the peanut butter, chipotle, and the coconut. It's taken a few trips up to the brewery over the past several months and to a couple different stores to put this together, and I just thought it would be a really cool way to sort of showcase and go through these beers all at once, all together. I don't know of anyone else that's done this, so I'm really looking forward to it. So the Framinghammer original is right here. It's a beer that comes out once a year from them. It's a Baltic Porter, comes in at 10%. Baltic Porters were something that came out basically, I guess the style originated in the late 1700s. And it's basically what you consider, the equivalent version of what an Imperial IPA is to a regular IPA. It's basically a Imperial version of a porter. Typically 7% or higher, just like with an IPA. IPA goes up to a certain percentage, and then they consider Imperial IPA. So same thing with this, with the Baltic Porter. It was just a stronger version of a porter that they could basically put on the shipping vessels and carry through the sea, so it would last a lot longer. So now Jack's Abbey has really sort of gotten this style down with the Framinghammer here. So these two here, you have the original Framinghammer and then the Barrel Aged Framinghammer. This one is an annual release, and it came out a couple years ago. Then they did the Barrel Aged version. And then they had the coffee and vanilla were introduced last year, and they were brewery only. This year, these two got distributed to some stores. This is the first year that they actually went one step further. They actually produced 3 other variants based on the bourbon barrel aged version, and that's these 3 here: the peanut butter, chipotle, and coconut. These were brewery only. These were released at different times throughout the month to go and get them. So once I heard about that, I figured it'd be cool to just piece them together, put them all together at the end, and then just do the tasting. They all come in at 10% alcohol, which is very interesting to me because I don't know how they were able to do that to keep it accurate throughout, but that's what I know. The barrel-aged version here is aged for 8 weeks. All the variants were aged for 10 weeks in bourbon barrels. The bourbon barrels they used were Four Roses bourbon. Interestingly enough, they had very wet bourbon barrels this year. They had a shipment that literally got lost in transit before Thanksgiving. They were supposed to have the barrels, and I guess apparently the barrels got lost, and Four Roses had to send them out fresh barrels as soon as they did their next bottling. So when they got the barrels, they were very fresh and wet, and actually still had quite a bit of bourbon in them when they got them. So this year's bourbon barrel aged variants are a lot more bourbony and boozier, as they said. So these really have a lot of stuff going on in them. As I said, this is the original. This is non-barrel aged Framinghammer Baltic Porter 10%. You have your bourbon barrel aged, just straight up bourbon barrel aged for 8 weeks in the Four Roses. You have the coffee and vanilla. So as you can probably figure out, it's the bourbon barrel aged with coffee added and then vanilla added to the other one. And then you have the 3 here. So this is peanut butter and jelly is it's peanut butter added to the bourbon barrel aged one with raspberries. That was a last minute decision, but So, you know, it's peanut butter and raspberry, so it gets the peanut butter and jelly. This one is chipotle, so they added roasted chipotle peppers to the bourbon barrel aged version. And lastly, you have the coconut. So this was coconut and cocoa nibs added to the bourbon barrel aged version. So with all that being said, this is absolutely outrageous, as you can tell. Please do not be too concerned. I'm not going to drink all of this tonight, and I do have some help with me. So, you know, don't worry. I'm not going to end up dead after this tasting. But this is truly, I think, the most epic tasting I've ever done, and I am beyond excited to get into it. Hope you guys appreciate it. Let's check it out. This is the Jack's Abbey Framinghammer Complete Tasting. Okay guys, so here they all are. I poured them all. I know you can't see them all, but just so you know what I'm drinking and tasting and smelling and all that good stuff, I want to leave these out front. As far as the appearance goes, I mean, I'll do this really briefly, but I mean, honestly, they all look pretty much the same. I mean, it's a really, really dark brown to black color. Obviously, you're not seeing anything through it. I mean, it's not really something you need to go into too much. They're really dark beers. As far as the head, there is none dissipated. There's some rings around, like, you know, like a mocha-colored ring around the heads, but it's dark beer. I mean, that's it. Let's go ahead and just go right into it. Let's start from my left all the way to the end here, and let's get an aroma first on all of them. So the regular Framinghammer, guys, let's see it in aroma. Oh yeah, it's got a nice chocolate, just big roast, big roasted malt. Nice and malty and just chocolatey, big chocolatey notes from the roasted malt. Just a really nice smelling Baltic porter. I mean, it smells big and robust. Very, very nice stuff. It smells really good. Let's go ahead and move on to the bourbon barrel aged version of the Framinghammer. Oh man, nice big bourbon notes. You really do get the base beer. You get huge roasty notes, huge, you know, roasted malt chocolate notes. Just a really nice presence of bourbon, not too overpowering, not too crazy aggressive in your face, just a really nice kind of vanilla wood character to it. Doesn't smell too boozy at all, really. Just a very, a nice, not, I don't want to say subtle, but just a very gentle kind of bourbon note to it. Yeah, it smells really good. Alright guys, so now we're going to get into the variants. So we're going from bourbon barrel aged Framinghammer to bourbon barrel aged vanilla. So let's see if we get the vanilla. Not really getting the vanilla from this one. I'm getting more of a bourbon presence. I'm getting a big, heavy, wet kind of, you know, soaking wet kind of bourbon, straight bourbon kind of smell to this. Getting some of those chocolate notes, some of the roasted malt notes, but a really hefty dose of bourbon in this. I mean, maybe it needs to warm up a little bit more. Pretty much all these have a nice slight chill to them. They're definitely not freezing cold. Maybe as they really approach room temperature, you get just a little bit more of everything, but right now I get a subtle vanilla note. Definitely not in your face with the vanilla. Still smells great though. Alright guys, let's move on to the coffee. Let's check this one out. Bourbon Barrel Aged Coffee. Oh yeah, that one definitely has the coffee. That one definitely smells a lot more like what the label says. Coffee jumps out, not too crazy, but it's there, and it's really a nice roast. I mean, it just matches perfectly with the roasted malts that you're getting from the base beer. And then the bourbon, of course, brings in that wood character, some of that vanilla. Doesn't come across to me as boozy and bourbony smelling as the vanilla, I think because the coffee is jumping out a little bit more. Yeah, that's a really nice smelling version of this. Let's go ahead and get an aroma on the peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and raspberry. Oh yeah, now that is really, really fun. That's what you're hoping for. Once you get up to these are the ones that they really got creative with, and these are already impressing me. This is awesome. This literally smells like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This is the kind of stuff I love. I mean, it is really, really impressive. You're not even getting a ton of the bourbon. You're not getting a ton, like, it just smells like peanut butter, fresh, raspberries, and it literally comes across like a peanut butter jelly sandwich in a glass. With a little bit of that bourbon background, definitely chocolate, definitely roasted malt, the whole deal is there. Easily best smelling one so far. It lives up to the title for sure. Okay guys, let's get an aroma on the Chipotle Barrel Aged version. Just really getting the bourbon barrel aged version. Not really getting the chipotle peppers. They're there. It's very subtle in the aroma, but there's some kind of roasted note there that wasn't there in the bourbon one, just the straight bourbon one. So yeah, there's definitely something there, but it's pretty subtle. Okay guys, lastly, let's get an aroma on the coconut, the cocoa nib and coconut one. That definitely has a nice, definitely getting the coconut, definitely getting the chocolate, the cocoa nibs out of that. This one's been sitting in the growler the longest of the variants, and it's been in the fridge obviously, but I was hoping it held up with the aroma so far. I'm definitely getting coconut, I'm definitely getting chocolate, definitely a more rich, more dessert kind of aroma to this. I don't think it lost anything. It smells really good. I'd say right now, as it stands, I would say the peanut butter smells the best. In second place would be the coconut, and third place I think would be the coffee right now for me. Okay guys, the moment has come. Let's do the taste on the entire Jack's Abbey Framinghammers. Starting with the original Framinghammer. Like I said, all 10%. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Cheers. Wow, that's really a nice, hefty, really nicely done Baltic Porter. It's got great, rich roasted malt character to it. Tastes a lot like a milk ball, like a milk dud or something. Just a really kind of meaty, rich kind of roasted malt, chocolate. Just a really nice expression of the style, and it drinks quite easily. I mean, it's 10%. You do get some of that warming, a little bit of that heat. You can tell it's 10%, but that doesn't detract from the beer at all. It's just really nice. It's a hefty beer. Absolutely, it's one that you're going to want to sip. But I think it's very well done. The carbonation on it is actually quite nice. It really does help to move the beer along across your palate. Doesn't get stuck there too long. Just a really nice style. Yeah, it just tastes like one of those malted milk balls, those candies. It's just a really, really nice flavor. Almost like bordering on like a dessert kind of flavor. I think the alcohol, you get some of the heat from it, but it's not boozy, if that makes any sense. It's just a really nicely done 10% kind of rich, hefty Baltic Porter. Let's go right into the bourbon version. Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah. It's got huge bourbon notes. Very, very smooth. It's got that nice wood character to it that you really, really look for in a well-done bourbon barrel-aged beer. You can tell, as they said, these barrels they used were very fresh. It does come across very heavy on the bourbon flavor, kind of boozy. Certainly not in a bad way. It actually complements the roasted malts and that chocolate flavor really well. Just that addition of that wood and vanilla and that like caramel kind of flavor really comes through nicely with the barrel aged version. Definitely enjoying that one a little bit more than the original, but not by much. But I do think the barrel aged version, the 10% seems to be more well integrated than the original for some reason, even though it's barrel aged. For 10% barrel aged beer, it's delicious. Now onto the vanilla Barrel Aged Framinghammer. Let's do it. Okay, so just going from the barrel age to the barrel aged vanilla, you just get that pop right up front, pop of vanilla bean, instantly front of the tongue, all the way through. Really nice vanilla bean note. It kind of fades out though, mid palate to end. You know, it's there in the first sip, and then it kind of trails off. But you do get a nice pop of fresh vanilla bean right up front. I taste a little bit more booziness out of this one. It comes across a little less smooth than the regular barrel aged version. Still, really nice expression of it. You know, it's simple. Its beauty is in its simplicity. I think the vanilla is exactly as they advertised. It comes in nice. You get a nice flavor. It goes away. There's a little bit of residual vanilla flavor on the tongue, but I mean, again, going back to the last one, it's chocolate, it's bourbon, you know, it's wood, it's creamy. It's just a delicious beer with that addition of some vanilla flavoring. All right, on to the coffee barrel aged. Let's do the coffee, guys. Cheers. Coffee's definitely more upfront flavor-wise than the vanilla variant. The coffee definitely carries through the whole time in this one. It's still not as in your face the whole way through as you might want it to be, but there is balance there. I think that is important to note. They didn't overpower it with coffee. It's still balanced, but compared to the vanilla, where the vanilla came and went kind of quickly, the coffee flavor I'm definitely still getting as I'm talking. Very nice roast. Obviously the coffee kind of flavor really goes nicely with the roasted malts. And again, you're getting the barrel flavors. It's just like the last one, but with that coffee. And I think this one, probably so far, this one is the best besides the regular barrel-aged version. If you like coffee, this is definitely one that you'll enjoy. It really just goes all the way through the palate with a nice fresh kind of coffee roast. It's like fresh coffee playing off that bourbon again. These are really kind of heavy on the bourbon, especially the coffee and vanilla. As they warned and as they said, I'm glad I researched it. These, again, were very wet barrels they used from Four Roses, and they had a lot of bourbon in them, so you're getting that bourbon flavor for sure. However, the coffee one is kind of balancing that out a little bit. In this one, it's battling it pretty well, but again, it's pretty heavy. Let's go ahead and get into the variants at the brewery. The peanut butter and jelly. Cheers. As with all the bourbon ones so far, extremely heavy on the booze, but this one, real nice. Peanut butter and jelly. Just like in the aroma, the flavor is awesome. This one is really fun. You really do get the essence of that. I mean, it's liquid form peanut butter and jelly. However, again, you get that kind of booziness. The bourbon's nice. I just still think it's a little overpowering. This one, definitely the flavors come through more though. I think the flavors on this one come through the strongest out of all the other ones so far. Fresh, you know, just fresh raspberries, fresh peanut butter. I think this was probably the best example of playing off the bourbon barrel aged Framinghammer yet. This one's smooth. It's kind of creamy. It's got that, you know, bourbon going on, but really nice integration of flavors, peanut butter and jelly, and then of course you get that chocolate from the roasted malts, and the vanilla from the wood. This one really has a lot going on. I think it's really nice. This one really matched the aroma and the flavor the best out of all of them so far. When you smelled it, it smelled great, and then you tasted it, you got exactly those flavors that you were picking up from the aroma, which I really liked. All right, now on to the Chipotle Barrel Aged Framinghammer. Cheers. wow, man, that one's just really, really unique. It's really well done. I almost wasn't going to get the Chipotle when I planned on doing this tasting. I tasted it last second before I left the brewery. It was the last variant that I needed to get to complete the set. I'm not a huge spicy food fan. Obviously not a huge spicy beer fan either. But I'm really happy this held up the way it did. This has the integration of Chipotle that is, I think, in my opinion, the perfect way to do it. I don't know how they did it so well, but it is so just the right amount of heat. And it comes in at the mid-palate, finishes with this nice kind of just this pop of just really nice spicy Chipotle. But for some crazy reason, it really, in my opinion, goes extremely well with the barrel-aged flavors that are going on. I mean, the chocolate and the spice of the Chipotle that kind of just it just kind of crashes through all those flavors, and it just pops out really, really nicely. You get a little bit of heat, and it's just really original, kind of authentic flavor. You just can't make it up. I mean, it's there, it's in your face, and then it goes away. Initially up front, you just get the great, barrel-aged flavor, and then bam, you just get hit with that spicy pop, but it's not overdone, and then it kind of goes away. It's really, really interesting. I think it's maybe the most interesting one so far, and that would be the one that I would not expect to really blow me away or impress me as much as it's doing right now, but I really think it's a cool beer. Yeah, the Chipotle just takes your palate on a little bit of a ride because you don't know what's going to happen. Initially, like I said, it starts off with the barrel, the chocolate, and all that, and then mid-palate is where it kind of takes over. You get this big, big heat, and then it kind of slowly just fades away, and that's really, I don't know how they did it so it's that well balanced, but extremely well done. It doesn't burn you out, and it's just really well done. Alright guys, last but not least, let's take a look at the Barrel Aged Cocoa-Nut Framinghammer. Cheers. Oh my god. Well, I can tell you, this made it real easy for me. The coconut is easily the best one out of all these. So much so that it literally blows them away. Wow. That is incredible. I'm kind of speechless by that one. Wow. Yeah, the funny thing is that one's been sitting in the fridge the longest. At least a month and a half. So I was kind of, worried about it not really holding on to those flavors, and it is just incredible. Forget the booziness. The booziness is out the window with this one. You don't even notice it. You're really just getting hit with this really nice, rich toasted coconut flavor. Obviously, extremely well done. And chocolate cocoa nibs. I mean, there's so much flavor from the additions to the beer that it really just kind of focuses your attention more on that than the bourbon, the barrel aging, and I think that really goes a long way with this beer. The flavor that sticks around in your mouth is just straight up toasted coconut, fresh toasted coconut, chocolate, cocoa nibs, and of course the chocolate plays off of, you're already getting chocolate notes from the roasted malts, so they're just really well integrated. And as I said, for some reason I didn't get as much booziness or bourbon flavor in this one. Maybe because the flavor additions are just so stronger. Maybe they're a little bit more powerful in this one, and maybe they use more. But just really incredibly tasty stuff. I did save that one for last because I had a hunch, and yeah, it came through. All right, guys. So there you have it. That's the tasting. It is above and beyond what probably anybody should do. But I really, really enjoyed this. And honestly, Jack's Abbey is one of my favorite breweries. I just love those guys. If you don't already know, they're in Framingham, Massachusetts. It's obviously the name of the beer. It's just a really nice small brewery owned and operated by amazing people, super friendly, just very welcoming, and they make amazing beer. I mean, their whole thing is making lager-based beers based on traditional styles, and it's just really unique, and I just can't give them enough praise, and it's really one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. I hope a lot of people check this out and check them out. I mean, look at what's in front of me. For a brewery to do, a Baltic Porter really well is one thing, okay? To barrel age it really well is another thing. To do all this here is just extremely well done and extremely impressive. Not many brewers even would be able to figure out how to do variants on and make them good on this level as they have done, and I just really am blown away. And I think it really makes it fun. I don't think there's enough breweries out there making it fun, and to throw like a peanut butter and jelly and a coconut and do that kind of thing at Chipotle. They're just having fun, and they're really good at having fun making beer, and I think that's what it's all about. So really glad I got to do this. I'm already starting to feel this. These are all 10%, and maybe a little bit more. Maybe they're not telling, I don't know. Some of these are kind of boozy, but they're all delicious, all extremely well made. If I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I like the best, I think, give you a top 3. I think the coconut would be, it's the best. It's the least boozy. It's just the most well integrated one. All the flavors make sense. It just is so like silky smooth to drink, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a really good tasting beer. Second place, I would say the peanut butter and jelly is really awesome as well. A little bit more of the bourbon involved in that one. I could have used a little bit more peanut butter and jelly. Still an amazing variation on the regular barrel-aged version. And third, I think I'm going to go just with the barrel-aged. I think, just the original was really, really well done. And it just took the original, the non-barrel-aged, just took that one up a notch, where it involved more of that vanilla and wood character to it, and a little bit of that booziness, but not nearly as much that you're getting from all the variants, except for the coconut, which I really didn't get much booziness from at all. But I think, the coconut, peanut butter, and the barrel-aged were terrific. The coffee and vanilla, I mean, they're good, don't get me wrong. I think maybe if I had tried them last year's batch when they were brewery only and they made less of it, I think maybe because they made more for distribution this year, I'm just guessing, maybe the quality went down a little bit, maybe they had to change some things around to make it so they could make larger batches of them, but they just felt a little bit flat for me. I think the flavors weren't as pronounced. It just could have been a little bit more intense for me, both of them. The coffee was definitely better. The vanilla wasn't really there for me too much, just a tiny bit. And, the regular is great as well. So, and the Chipotle was really fun. I should say the Chipotle is pretty damn impressive. I still just don't like peppers and spicy stuff, but I can appreciate the hell out of that. It's really impressive. So as far as ratings on these guys, I'm not going to go ahead and give my ratings, but I'll just give you a rundown. Just so you know, in the Baltic Porter category on Beer Advocate, okay, the top beers, 4 of these beers are in the top. They are the top 4. The coffee is number 1. Vanilla is number 2. Number 3 is the bourbon barrel aged, and number 4 is the coconut. They're owning the Baltic Porter category right now. That is insane. That is really impressive. Again, big shout out to those guys at Jack's Abbey. Thank you very much for spending the time to brew this fun collection of beers for us. And as beer geeks, this is the stuff we love. So I think I'm going to leave it at that, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next beer review. I got a lot of beer to drink in front of me, and make sure you check out Jack's Abbey if you can. So remember to comment, subscribe, guys, and let me know if you've had any of these and what you think of them or Jack's Abbey in general, but don't say anything bad about them because they're awesome. Alright guys, cheers, thanks for watching, see you next time.